Good evening. Welcome to another UD football show here on a Monday night. So we're at Chalmers Field where we broadcast on a Monday night and fresh off of a Spartan victory. They're sixth in a row, taking the key back where it belongs in the area of the football offices here at the University of Dubuque with a win over the Loras College Dewhawks 42-7. A dominant performance at Chalmers Field on Saturday, and more importantly, and not only do the Spartans keep the key, they keep sole possession of first place in the Iowa Conference with 2 games left to go on the schedule. And the first of those 2 will be coming up this Saturday. They'll take a road trip down to Cedar Rapids to Coe College. And so we're going to have Coach Stan Zwiefel on tonight to talk about the great win on Saturday here at Chalmers Field, and then look ahead to the Spartans' final road test in the Iowa Conference when they will travel to Coe College. A lot to talk about, a lot of good things to talk about out of that Spartan victory. Completely dominant, really, on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. Really holding down what came in as the number 1 total offense in the country in Division III. And the passing offense, number 4 ranked, too, at that time. So a great performance by the UD defense, and the offense had a great day as well. And it all added up to a 42-7 victory over the crosstown rival Dewhawks. So we'll be anxious to hear Coach Zweifel's thoughts here in just a moment. And then we'll talk about the game with the Coe College Cohawks. And we'll return to visit with Coach Stan Zwiefel, talk about that Loras College win this past Saturday to send the Spartans to 6-2 and 5-0. And we'll be back with more on the UD Football Show right after this on 101.1 The River. And good evening on this Monday night. It's a different scene than it was a week ago on Monday night. It's completely dark here at 6 o'clock here at Chalmers Field. And Coach Zwiefel, that means it's November. And, boy, to say that you're on top of the Iowa Conference as you go into the November stretch of your conference schedule, what a great feeling to have as you get ready for this week's action.
Yeah, it is on November, whatever day it is. I hope it's going to be that on November 14th. That's a little bit more important than right now. But, yeah, we've played well in this stretch of 6 games, and we probably had maybe our most complete game on Saturday against Loras. And as you mentioned, boy, they're a good offensive team, and our defensive coaches did a heck of a job putting a game plan together. And then I really felt our plan going in was to, keep them off the field as much as we possibly could. And we were able to do that. We had some long, extended drives, and we did have a very good mix of run and pass. But, we were pretty effective ourselves in throwing the ball on Saturday, and Rio had a really nice game, and Chris Bagley and the rest of our receivers did a really good job. But it was a very rewarding win, and again, it gave us a little breathing room over everybody with the exception of Wartburg.
Well, you mentioned one of the big keys, and you just touched on it a moment ago, was to keep the ball out of the hands of a dangerous offense.
Yep.
And when you look at the time of possession, they handed me the sheet at the end of the fourth quarter, and I looked at my partner, Jim Clore, and I said, Jim, I don't know that I've seen a disparity in time of possession like that, or it's been quite a while in a ball game. 43 minutes to 17 minutes, you held that ball.
Yeah, and along with that, they only ran 53 plays. They were averaging 88 plays. They had run 127 more plays than we had in the 7 previous games, and that's like playing another game and a half for us. So we really felt that one of the ways in which we could swing that momentum or swing the pendulum in our favor was, number 1, stay on the field when you have it, and that means you've got to execute offensively. And then number 2, I heard Steve Helminiak after the game. He had mentioned a number of times how hard it was for his offense to get in rhythm. Well, when you don't have the ball, it's darn difficult to get in rhythm. I've had that experience with St. John's, and I had that experience with Platteville, and it just is very difficult to get your full package executed. And that part we had planned on, I didn't know it was going to be as efficient as we were, Tim. I don't know how you ever feel that, but we feel our running game is just about where we'd like it to be. Our offensive line, where 4 seniors did an outstanding job of blocking and being physical, and then Mo and Davon did a tremendous job of executing when they got to the second and third level. So that really came out well for us, and we knew they'd have to do something with their safeties to get involved and stop the run. We were able to take advantage of that in a number of ways throwing the ball.
Duhawks came in averaging 569 yards a game, and your defense holds them to 218 in part because of what we just talked about. But, I mean, as far as a defensive effort, where do you put this one so far this season?
You know, I'll say this to you. We examined them and watched them for 7 games, which gave us a little bit of an advantage over some of the other folks that didn't have as much sample to look at. And we really thought that they are doing some things really well, and we wanted to force them to not be able to do the things they had done so well in the previous 7 games. And I'll say this to you, Tim, and I think we mentioned it last week in the show. Their fourth quarters have been phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the reasons they've been phenomenal is the number of plays they've been able to run, and they just flat out wear out the opposition's defense. Well, we played 9 defensive linemen on Saturday. The 2 guys that had the most snaps only had 38 snaps in that game for us in the D-line. So we were relatively fresh. And not only that, we were in a situation in that fourth quarter where we still were able to possess the ball. And again, we thought we were going to make them do some things that they hadn't done so well, and it really panned out. Now, you got an outstanding quarterback. He's going to be a really, really, really good player in Division III football. But he's a freshman this year. And we also felt that if we could do some things and mix our coverages a little bit and take away some of his go-to plays, that we would force him to do some things and hold on to the ball and maybe get a couple sacks and maybe get a turnover. And it's just exactly how it played out. So, again, I would give kudos to our defensive coaches for putting together an outstanding game plan. I would give kudos to the offense being able to help them execute that game plan by keeping Loris's offense on the sidelines watching us. And then I think the other thing was, I knew that this would be an emotional game for them. Oh, my gosh, this will be an emotional game for them. And I really thought if we could start the game and not let them get something going and not get a heck of a lot of momentum, that would really help us. And when we missed that first field goal, I got a little bit nervous because we had a good opening drive and we missed a short field goal. But our kids just responded the whole game, and not only did we play good offense and defense, our special teams did a heck of a job too.
Let's dissect the game a little bit in detail. Both teams kind of a chess match there in the first quarter, and like you said, you maybe were a little concerned because the longer you allowed Loris to hang around, the more confidence that you continue to give them. But took a 21-0 lead into the locker room, scoring a couple of times in the final 2 minutes. That was really a key 2 minutes of the ball game.
I thought that last touchdown did a lot of things for us. Number one, you're ahead by 21, other 14, and we practice the 2-minute drill every darn day in practice, and we haven't been very good offensively the whole darn year in 2-minute drill. And we took it with 40 seconds left, and I'll be gall-danged if we didn't score it with no time left on the clock. And that was really rewarding to us because we were able to do both run and pass, effectively kill the clock, and then use the sidelines to stop the clock. And we went down and maintained one of our timeouts even after we scored. Now, I thought that was just a tremendous momentum boost, not only for them, but not only for us, but for them when they left the field. You could see that one really hurt. That one really hurt them.
You scored, like you just said, with no time on the clock. How big of a decision was it to go for the touchdown as opposed to putting points on the board?
Baby, did you watch that Minnesota game against Michigan? So we were thinking the same thing. The only thing was we were up by 14, so it wasn't going to be so critical. But really interesting. We had got it down there, and I told our guys if we got it inside the 20, we're going to go for it. And we got it inside the 20 with that long pass to Chris on the goal line. So there wasn't any hesitation on our part. Now, that was good that we got inside the one. When we went out at the 5-yard line, now I got a little bit different decision to make on that part and probably would have kicked the field goal. But getting us down inside the 1, I just thought we had to reward what we had done on that drive by getting a touchdown.
So you're 21-0 at halftime. Loris really needed a response to come out of the locker room, and they did. Their best drive of the day. They put 7 points on the board, but then your team responded right away with one of those long, epic drives that you had. 12-play drive, 76 yards, and then that made it a 3-score game again.
Yep.
That really maybe took the wind out of the sails.
I think it made them realize that they're going to have to score a lot of points and have to do it quickly, but they still got to stop us to do those things. I thought they would come out in that second half, and we felt like, son of a gun, we've defended what we wanted to defend. And I'm not quite sure that they just didn't make a couple good plays. I thought their quarterback made a couple good throws. They made a couple catches. We had a defensive holding penalty in that call, pass interference in that drive, which I thought was questionable, but it is what it is, and they end up scoring on that. And now you get a feeling like, oh, my God, it's going to be that magic they've had all year long, scoring in the second half and the fourth quarter. But we answered immediately. After a really bad field position, we got a hold on our kickoff return. I think we started, as you mentioned, on about the 16 or the 20-yard line, and we took it down and scored. And I really felt comfortable after that because it put the pressure back on them.
Mm-hmm. On the day, I mean, a pretty balanced offensive attack. I mean, passing yardage, 339, rushing yardage, 253 yards, and equal amounts of touchdowns with both phases of the game.
Yeah. It was kind of interesting because we had talked to our receivers that are leading the country in passing or very up close to it. I think if you look at the statistics, we almost doubled them in our passing offense to their passing offense. And don't think that I didn't take that as a personal affront, that we're as good a throwing team as anybody in the conference. And we were really excited about getting a chance to show what we could do with throwing the ball, too. And I say this without any malice or anything. You know, we played St. John's and UW-Platteville our first two games. And since then, now you can see our offensive production and our defensive production has really improved. And that was by design. We wanted to play the best folks we can. So when you start talking about mixing and matching non-conference games in your statistics, that's really based on who you play. So we feel like since we've been in conference, we've been as good as anybody in the conference offensively, and we are the best defense in the conference right now after 5 games. So we're excited about where we are, Tim. I thought we played, as I told you, our best game on last Saturday. Now, that seems like about 10 weeks ago to me on that thing when I think about Saturday. But it was really nice to get the key back. That is our 5th straight win over Loras. And I don't know, Paul sitting over here, we hadn't won 5 games in the past 30 years against Loras prior to our staff getting here. So we feel real good about where we're going. But make no mistake, Loras is a good young football team.
6th one in a row, and it's been a while since Spartan football program has put together 6 straight wins. As I did not jinx you last week.
Tim. That's the first thing I said when I left there too.
And so you're able to get that done.
Yeah.
And so you know it's been, as we've chronicled. I mean, just this team has really just week in, week out got better and better. It seems like.
And I said this to our men after the game. God, it seems like our kids like each other. I go back to the fumble at Wartburg on the opening fumble, the kickoff, and our guys rallied. And there's a real camaraderie and teammanship we have this year that I thought last year we were lacking. And if you'd ask me this year's team and last year's team, I don't know. We're about the same ability-wise. But this year's team is, my gosh, it's fun to be around them. It really is. And they're a great group of kids. They practice their butts off, and boy, do they try, and they're really invested in each other. When you have that shaking a little bit, that really helps. That's that immeasurable thing. You can't ever put how much it's worth, but it's worth something.
Coach, anything else about the victory over Loras College before we leave that and take our first break?
You know what? That key looks dang good right where it's supposed to be in our lobby when you walk into our football offices.
Yeah, it does, and it's on the UD side and has been for 5 seasons now, and it was just a great day. Good crowd on hand,
Good
really
crowd.
for the weather conditions.
Yeah, it really
so
was.
It's too bad it wasn't
yeah.
a day like today, but it was a pretty good crowd.
And then I will tell Paul that the music he played after the game, I was getting ready to dance, about happy of that song that's out there. I really thought that was appropriate.
So big win for the Spartans, takes them to 5-0 in Iowa Conference play, 6-2 on the season, and the next test on the schedule comes up this Saturday when the Spartans will travel to Cedar Rapids to take on the Co-College Co-Hawks. We'll visit about that ball game and more when we return to talk with Coach Stan Zwiefel on a Monday night. And we're back on Monday nights. The Spartans get ready to travel to Co-College to take on the Co-College Co-Hawks. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff in Cedar Rapids, and we'll be on the air once again on 101.1 The River at 1240. You can pick up the audio stream as well from the University of Dubuque's website there, dbq.edu. Coach, before we talk about your team ranked getting some national recognition. Ranked number 24, the latest D3Football.com poll. The coaches poll not there yet, but getting votes, and so it's nice to get the national recognition. But I know how you coaches feel about those polls. They're pretty meaningless.
Right. I think the interesting about the D3 poll is obviously in NCAA 3, you win your conference, you go to the national playoffs. And I know that was discussion before. It's going to be very, very hard to get an at-large bid this year because Mary Hardin Baylor has a loss, and UW-Whitewater has a loss, and St. John's has a loss. I think those are 3 teams that are going to get Pool C bids, so that leaves 3 of them open. So it's going to take a one-loss team to get into the playoffs, I think. And I don't think it secures you necessarily you're going to get in the playoffs. I feel the best time to be ranked, Tim, is after the season's over. That's probably shows you've done some good things. But it is nice. We've worked really hard to get to where we are right now. And as I said, it's we've got a 6-game win streak, and all that's good and said. But, we got a really difficult week coming up down at Co, who I think played their most complete game last Saturday against Luther. And I know you've got it down there. It's a 44-22 win over Luther, and Luther scored 14 of their 15 of their points in the fourth quarter. So Cole played really well. Their run game came around on Saturday. They've been struggling a little bit with their run game. They got an outstanding back who started for 3 years, and they have one of the better quarterbacks in the conference, I think. I think last year he was as impressive a quarterback as there was. Big, strong kid stands there and throws the ball. They're doing some run-pass options, and he's a very, very efficient passer, very, very accurate, and he's a big man and very hard to bring down. So they'll present some problems offensively, and then defensively they're younger than they have been in the past. They had a big senior class on their defense last year, but they're really had, I thought, their best game on Saturday, flying around the football and making plays. And of course, that's going to be their last home game down there, and senior day for them. So there's a lot of emotional issues that will go into that game. We really want to go down there and be able to play well early so that emotion doesn't become a momentum thing for them. But it's been a very good rivalry, I think, since we've got her. I think most of our scores have been less than 7 points for the majority of them. There have been a number of games that we lost one to them 2 years ago, I think it was, in overtime, Tim, and we just had some really close games with them.
2-3, they come in Iowa Conference play 3-5 on the season, and you talked about their quarterback, Josh Riekers. He's leading the overall stats in the Iowa Conference, 2,000 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Obviously, with a 2-3 record, 3-5, you've had some struggles. What seems to be has given them the biggest fits this year?
Well, one of them, that 5 losses, is to Wheaton College, a top 5 team in the country. Now they'll create some problems. They'll make some struggles on their own, and that part of it. Then they lost to a WIAC team, Stevens Point, who we've played and know is very good, 34-31. So you take those 2 losses and you put them on the plus side. Now it changes how you look at them a little bit. I think in the losses they had in the conference, their inability to run the ball effectively hurt them. But you also know their losses to Wartburg's one of those losses, and now the loss is to Central. So we think 2 of the better teams in the conference, if not the 2 best teams in the conference. So they've had a very difficult schedule also up to this point in time. As I said before, when we play those guys, whether it's us that have been struggling a little bit or them, it's been what it's become since I've been in one of my rivalry games, and I'm really excited about going down there and playing them. And Coach Staker has done a heck of a job down there, and we expect them to really give us a very, very difficult game. I hope we can play well enough to get ourselves in position to win, because it'll be a difficult game.
Defensively as well, looks like they've been giving up about 200 yards on the ground, and so the way your team has run the football well, that's a good sign for the Spartans.
We sure hope so, Tim. We sure hope so. I think games, when you look statistically over an average, they're so deceiving, where you head behind, what happened, those kind of things. We're going to try to be balanced, Tim. We really are. We'll try to be as balanced as we possibly can. I think every time you look at statistics on that part, you're trying to get a matchup, and there'll be some difficult matchups for us in that game, and we're hoping we can create some things by alignment. But it's going to be a fun game, and obviously for us, Tim, it puts us in a position, if we would win, On Saturday, we would be guaranteed a share of the crown, and that's all it guarantees on Saturday. And in that case, it puts us in a position where we can still predict our future. We can still hold the key to our own future. So in that respect, it's going to be a very important game for us.
Obviously, how big of an issue do you make that with your guys in practice? I mean, and throughout in team meetings.
If you'd ever come to my meetings every Sunday and Monday, it's the next week, obviously, and it's the only game on our schedule at that time. Now, there's a little buzz going on now, Tim. I'd be foolish not to say that. And I just told our guys, I've been in a lot of places over my course of coaching, and if ever you lose the focus on what you have to do the next Saturday, you're putting yourself in a really bad position, because anybody can beat you. It happens all the time. You only have to look at scores in the paper. But I also know that we've become one of their rivals. I really believe we have. And I think they take great enjoyment in knocking us out of first place by ourselves. So that part, I think our guys will be ready. I think they'll practice. Boy, it's supposed to be like midsummer out there this coming week, which is going to be darn good. And we've had really spirited practices last week, which we thought we'd have for the Loras game, and I think we'll have the same kind of enthusiasm for this week.
Didn't see a lot of injuries on Saturday. How's your team health-wise?
We think we're going to be pretty good. We have a couple injuries to some backups that probably won't play, but nothing that would change anything that we're going to do. So, here's the other thing, Tim. You never know during the course of the week who could sprain an ankle, who could get hurt, and so you're getting down the last 2 weeks of the season, and you're trying to cut back a little bit on that, but you never want to lose your edge, and you never want to take your foot off the gas pedal, I think, in any form or fashion, whether you're 2-6 or 6-2, or whether you're 0-5 or 5-0, because you're really doing a disservice to your kids not to get them prepared to win.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's going to be a big ball game for the Spartans, of course. Last road game of the regular season at Coe College, and 1 o'clock kickoff, 12:40 with the pregame. And Coach, anything else about this week coming up here for your Spartan football team?
We'd love to have a bunch of folks come down and watch us play from Dubuque, and it's really a nice short drive, and I think it's supposed to be mid-40s and a fairly nice day, and going to be a good college atmosphere. Coe always has it very well supported at home, and they're a very good football program.
Stan, thanks a lot for joining us here on a Monday night. We'll let you run and get prepared for the Saturday showdown with the Cohawks. Thanks for joining us, and again, best of luck and congratulations on the win Saturday, too.
Thanks, Tim. Look forward to see you over the weekend.
All right, Stan Zwiefel, head football coach of the University of Dubuque Spartans, joining us here on our Monday Night UD football show. We'll come back and have some final comments when we return on 101.1 The River. We're back on this Monday night, and we're just about ready to sign things off here for this week's UD football show. Thanks to head coach Stan Zwiefel for joining us on the Spartans' off day. They'll begin their practice preparation tomorrow for the contest against the Coe College Cohawks. The second to last game of the season, the final home game of the year, will be the week from this Saturday with Central College. So make sure if you haven't got a chance to come out and watch the Spartans play, some exciting football. That'll be no doubt an exciting game when that week rolls around as well. And there could be some high stakes with that game as well. Spartans could be playing for, who knows, maybe a home game in the NCAA playoffs if they could finish out on a 2-game streak. But, of course, Game 1 is what is in their sights right now, as they'll be at Coe College this Saturday. And we'll have the broadcast, Jim Cloran and I, on the air at about 12:40 with the pregame show and then the kickoff at 1 o'clock. And we'll be right back here next Monday night with more from Coach Zwiefel, breaking down the Coe College game and looking ahead to that final regular season game of the year for the Spartans from 6 until 6:30 again on Monday nights. So thanks for tuning in tonight, and we'll talk to you Saturday afternoon from Cedar Rapids when the Spartans take on the Coe College Cohawks. For the UD Football Show, I'm Tim Larry on 101.1 The River.